All right, now we're live. Welcome everybody to the EVX channel. It's been 900 years since we've done a live stream, but today we
Yeah.
have Jack from Kingsong. So say hello,
Yes.
Jack.
Hello, hello, hello.
And then we have your man. You gave me a good one last night. We have the one, the only, the illustrious Black Cobra. Yeah, I
Yo,
don't
I
have
got.
the fancy
Why does
sounds.
Irwin's camera look so good?
I think he's using a DSLR like me.
No,
no,
but his looks
I'm
better than
actually
yours.
I'm actually just using my iPhone.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it depends on
Apple Magic.
the internet connection, how it goes through the whole, through the web and
Yeah.
through the ether. So, like to me,
Oh,
you
I
guys look
can
about
change
the
to
same.
720p.
Oh,
Oh,
look at that.
freaking nah! It should be better now. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, welcome everybody. I see there's a lot of people here in the chat. What's going on? Got Michael King here, the EUC Stir, Demario, Zero Alligator, Brian. What's up, everybody? Samako's here. So today we're here to talk about the S20, the Eagle, and well, yeah, Jack. It looks like the last 12 to 24 hours it went a little bit different than you planned. But how's it going? How's it going over there?
Yeah. This morning was just like I got a message from my colleague, and she was like, "Why is the video out?" Because we had put a strict embargo, like strict. Like I was very strict on it. And this morning it was just like, yeah, the video is out. I'm like, what? And then I checked all my settings and everything's okay. And then before I knew it, like everything just snowballed. It was everywhere. It was just on Facebook. I was like just bombarded with it. Literally for partially of today, I was just avoiding social media because I couldn't handle the fact that I was seeing S20 everywhere when it wasn't supposed to be there.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what
Yo, where
happened
can
with
they
the.
see this live stream, by the way?
It's on. Everyone's watching right now.
Like
It's
YouTube, if they
on.
just search
It's
YouTube?
yeah. If they go to my channel on YouTube, it's over there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
that was the same thing when the InMotion stuff was leaking, a few months back. It was the same thing. It was like once the toothpaste was out of the bottle, whatever, like it was not coming back, and everybody was talking about it for. It went crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
nuts.
yeah. So Jack, if you were trying to read any comments, whatever, my suggestion is have it open in another browser with it muted, and then you can kind of see. If you were thinking that, you don't have to do that. I'm gonna bring stuff up too.
Wait, like I can share a screen too? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying if you were trying to like see the chat that's going on, sometimes I like to
Yeah,
have
I
it in a
just.
second
Oh, okay, I
window.
see. Oh, okay, I see it. Okay.
Cause
No,
I'm
no,
like,
that's okay.
cause I'm running the show. I have it all behind the scenes. You guys, I don't think do. You might. I'm not sure
Yeah, I
exactly.
did. I do one of these numbers
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
Yeah, so
otherwise
let's
you can't see it.
so I mean S20, right? Like I really knew that it was gonna sell well, and really we designed it like from the get-go.
Oh.
What was that pop up there? I missed that one.
Someone's a fresh face, Mickey.
Sorry about that. My bad. My cable moved. Yeah, so as I was saying, when we started designing the S20,
hmm
I wasn't a part of the S18 team. I was only there to help launch the product, and I was basically called in last minute. So when we did the S20, I'm here for the entire process, um, and so I got to make decisions on what pedals, how many spikes, like very small things that I think a lot of people forget when it comes to designing a product. I don't have an engineering degree.
hmm
Um, I don't have a marketing degree, but what I do have is 6-7 years of being in the EUC community that really can't be
Right.
replaced by anyone. So I know what riders want, and I have a good connection with the community and with people that have strong opinions on where the EUC market should go. And so I
Yeah.
reflected those things to the team, and that's kind of where we started, right? Yeah.
Right. So I'm also
And
excited
this
about the
this
S20
wheel could have
because
been
it's
launched. Yeah.
I'm most excited about the S20 because it's your second go round. So this is like kind of the thing we've all been waiting for, is all the suspension wheels to have a new iteration perfected, building on the last generation of it. So
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is the second iteration of our suspension wheel. It's always going to be better the second time around. Uh, like
Well,
we learned a lot. The whole team, everyone learned a lot. So I really think we're going to see a whole lot, like significantly less issues. You know, early on in S18, we had mud guards falling off, right? People complain about that.
mhm,
Small things, not a big deal in
mhm.
terms of performance, but annoying when you get your S18 out of the box and then maybe you drop it and then the mud guard comes off and you're like, okay, now I have a flapping rubber piece on the back of my wheel. It doesn't look good for a $2,000 wheel. So,
No.
from that point, like the designer and I think we mutually or like just at the same time we're like, fuck it, like why do we need all this plastic? Just keep it bare bones. EUC really is just a motor, battery, and a controller. What else is there? Everything else besides that is
yeah,
is extra. Suspension is
Mhm.
extra, but obviously necessary now in today's market and all these like push handles and stuff. So how do we put all of that into one package without adding the extra weight? Because suspension is heavy, and have a wheel that people want. You know.
hmm
Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
really I wanted to ask what do you feel is the biggest improvement, because there were so many improvements that obviously were made on the second go round. What, in your opinion, do you feel is the biggest or best improvement that you like the most?
Man, there's so many. I mean, this wheel, like, I'm not saying this because I work for Kingsong. I mean, I love EUCs in general. People think I
Right.
hate veteran Shermans because I burn their stuff up. I don't. I love EUCs in general. Um, but like, there's a lot of things I like about the S20, and even though this might not be the number one thing for a lot of people, but I think the fact that it's just bare bones. It's very like Resio wheel like. It's
right.
Okay.
the core. It's bringing everything back to the core. We've been on this race for prettier designs, more plastic pieces, more durable. We have, steel pipes or metal pipes on the veteran Sherman. Like, yes, but like, got to bring it back to what is this product? What is it actually for
Hmm.
people? What does it do for
So
people?
Right.
What do people want? So, yeah,
I,
yeah, that's
I
pretty
want to
much.
ask I want to ask a couple of questions just to kind of, because I know people are like sharks in the comment section. They want to know. They want to know. Not, by the way, not all of them like were in on the leak. That's the wrong term. Not all of them saw the leak. Um, all right. So obviously, let's start at the top. What's the battery size?
2220 watt hours.
Okay. Good, good, good. It's like I tell a lot of people, if you want some decent range, you got to have over 1800 watt hours. So that's great. So a lot better. And what do you guys are guessing the range is with that battery? What's the hypothesis?
Range,
Yeah.
we're estimating 200 kilometers. Um, you do
Okay.
get better range with a hollow bore motor because there's less resistance. Which I want to add is, like really, like when we decided on hollow bore motor, I was like, no, 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 no. That's when like all the emotion wheels and all the Galway wheels with the hollow motor was like rusting and making all those weird noises. I was like, no, like if we do this, it has to be 110%, like 120%, like correct. No water, like no water issues. People are gonna ride this in snow. They're gonna ride it in sand. Like it
Hmm.
has to be really
Right.
Yep.
good. So
Definitely.
the designer was very insistent that we could do it. I'm not an engineering expert. I took his word for it. We got the sample back and we went to test it. We tested it a few times. After we tested it, we left it for a few days, saw if any rust happened, and just how it impacted the wheel. We saw very good results,
Hmm.
and that's where we went ahead with it. We're using a
Okay.
custom motor. It's not like we bought a hollow bore motor from Alibaba somewhere and are installing it and fitting it onto the onto the wheel.
Right.
We've actually developed the bearing, the custom bearing, the size and everything that goes into it. I don't know exactly the specifics, but I know that we did do a lot of development in that bearing front to get that right. Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, that sounds very promising. Is there anything very specific that you guys have done to prevent, as much as you can, water ingress issues like we've seen in the past? I mean, aside from what you kind of described,
So I think one of the biggest things is that entire like panel where the power pads sit on is aluminum. So it's not like two connecting pieces. I think that's a huge thing for waterproofing. And obviously, like I said, we have a custom seal on the motor. And I don't think we've ever really had much water resistant issues when it comes to covering our motherboard. I think we've been fairly good in the market in doing that. So yeah, I'm confident to say, like, a lot of people ask, like, why doesn't it have an IP rating, what water resistant level it is? The realistic truth is that we do want it to be water resistant. It's not that we don't want it to, but how much sales are going to come from us actually achieving an IP rating? Do governments have to, require us to have that IP rating? If not, then is it enough for us just to say, okay, water resistance is enough, and that's like we test it and we make sure our customers take our word for it. We do these field tests, we take videos of it, or do we really need to take that next step forward? So, I'm getting a lot of feedback from people that obviously want us to do IP rating and IP tests, and we'll see how it goes. When we get the full production copy, it'll go out for certification, and I hope Kingsong will shell out the money for IP rating. There's nothing to lose besides maybe not seeing a great return of not doing that. But yeah,
I mean,
I don't think that'll
especially with
happen.
the open like rectilinear design there, it looks really badass. But you kind of like, that's the first thing you think is like, oh man, is that just like the whole battery exposed? Like, is that going to be protected? So I think people want some sort of confidence. I don't know if that means they need an IP rating or what, but yeah, I think hearing from you guys more on the subject would be definitely cool. And speaking of which, you said you have some early test videos and stuff. Man, you guys should release some of that if it's not too incriminating or anything. Just like, put some of that out there. People would love to see it.
I have so many videos of us, testing suspensions, testing different frames over the wheel. It's a whole lot. Testing power pads. Like you guys saw on my own channel, that we test those parts. I didn't tell people that it was for the S18, but I kind of hinted at it. And yeah, a lot of testing went in. Yeah.
All right, so that's
I have a lot of videos on my phone, but we'll see if I release it. But definitely not now.
Well, I think it would be cool to see it, like, we can talk later, but like coming out from Kingsong's, social media, maybe it's Instagram or whatever, just showing maybe stories or whatever, just showing just some of the process. I think it'll really be good for the brand.
Yeah.
But here I am helping you brand market. Anyways,
you can send him a bill. You can send him a bill later.
Yeah. So a lot of people obviously they want to know, like, how much is it going to weigh? Because hold on, do you have a prototype running right now?
How should I say this? We do have a prototype, but it's not a fully finished prototype. Well, I guess that's what a prototype is anyway. But yeah, we do have a prototype when we're testing things. It's missing things, and we're still in the process. I think we'll get like what most people would think of a prototype, like that level, somewhere early September, at least for me. And when I get that copy, I'm gonna be producing videos on it, and I'll share that with everyone. Come late September-ish, is the idea. Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha. All right. So the weight then is suspected to be like 38 kilograms or something, somewhere around there.
I think it'll probably be around 35 kilograms.
35?
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it'll be. I think that's fair to say, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. And then
Yeah, sorry. My girlfriend bought freaking like tons of barbecue.
Oh man.
in the middle of the night. Like
All right, and then
it's
of course
11:20 at night. Yeah, sorry.
that's a good time to snack. Of course, we have the new top speed for you guys, which is the 70 kph. Um, what is the lift speed on this bad boy?
The lift speed is 105 kilometers, and I think Ben Kim from New York
Yeah.
was calculating it, and he was saying that there's no way this thing can only do 70 kilometers an hour, and that's true. This thing, uh, based on preliminary testing, we're estimating it can do at least 85, but
Woo.
it really depends on
Kilometers, 85 kilometers.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Okay,
I'm
okay.
using kilometers an hour.
That's fine. As long as we say it, we can totally stay in the
It really depends on like the testing from that point. Like, okay, how did the engineers feel about it, right? How does someone like me feel about having people go beyond 70 kilometers an hour? Because from my feedback that I got, a lot of people felt happy with like something that hit 70 kilometers an hour already. So,
Right.
like I said to you yesterday, is going beyond 70 kilometers an hour going to help increase sales for Kingsong? Is that going to be
Right.
better for the community? It's going to reach such a small part of the community, and increase the risks of people hurting themselves on the wheel that it might not be worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said the other day. It's like a typical Kingsong. It's within your brand, right? Still considering safety and things, where other brands maybe would be more tempted to push it. But I definitely think a lot of people hearing that, especially like the New York kind of people, are frustrated here, hearing that that's a possibility. So, is there a possibility that like
Yo, is
Tiltback might?
Mark is in the chat.
Yeah, I think he's still here. I don't know if he's
Okay.
left yet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
my good buddy Mark over there. He's excited because he's got an S18, so he's excited for the S20 for sure. Yeah, so actually let's jump to that. Shibbles is down here asking what made you guys go for the 126 volt instead of the 100 volt system. We should note too that this is like the first time that Kingsong has created a wheel
Exactly.
that surpasses Gotway in its like respective area, I guess. Well, either way, it's the first 126 volts. So,
Yes.
what
Right.
was the mindset behind this?
Basically, to be pioneers of something in the EUC industry, and not having done that for a while, I think is the entire thought behind it.
Mm,
I guess maybe it was just at the bare minimum hoping for 100 volts, right?
sure.
I'm not an electrical engineer, so I don't know what that was. But
Right.
when we made the final decision to make 126 volts, I was like tremendously happy. I was out of this world. Um, you know, to be the first ones to do something. I mean, I think Commander was it or someone else, but I don't know. I guess I would say maybe we're like the first like actual company, like having a long history in the EUC community, in the industry to make a 126 volt wheel. And we have a good reputation of like having good electrical systems,
Yes.
right? So, yeah,
'Cause you
we
guys
feel
make your own
confident in doing that.
PCBs, right?
Yeah, so Kingsong makes their own motherboards. So we print all the like basically it's called we have our own SMT, which is like surface mount technology, which is in short like mounting chips to the motherboard, like soldering it on. But you need like special equipment, obviously. So we make all those like SAT motherboards like in house,
Gotcha.
It goes from our like it's literally next door, and then it gets QC checked, and then when it goes to the EUC like part of the factory, it gets QC checked again, and then it gets assembled onto the wheel. Then it gets QC checked again, and then it gets ridden again as a QC check. So yeah.
Well,
Well-
the key for me is looking at the fact that you have 126 volts with a good sized motor and a good sized battery. Like Mickey and I were talking about yesterday, for the heavier guys, the bigger guys, that to me equals more security in regards to the stability and the fact that you make your own motherboards on top of that is adding to to the security, the feel of, I'm not as worried about a system failure because, somebody else made the motherboard, somebody else made the motor, somebody else made this, somebody else made that. Knowing that, this is all in-house stuff on top of the fact that it's 126 volt, it's given me a lot more, a lot better of a feeling about the wheel. I was not a huge fan of the S18. Like I said, being a bigger guy, that wheel was just not a wheel that could stand up under, bigger guys' punishment. And this seems like something that is much more robust, and it seems like something that will be able to handle, a larger rider doing some of the things that they want to do on this type of wheel.
So by having 126 volts, right, we have basically a torque motor, but because it's 126 volts, we can also have the ability of a high speed. So it's both. Really, it's just both. It's both high speed and torque. And how well it does, like, I'm sure it'll be better than a lot of those wheels. I'm not going to name any names, but
look, this is my YouTube channel. You can name whatever you want. This is
well, we already know some of those wheels that have really bad torque and then really bad, safety after it reaches its limit. But
well, I mean,
we'll see how good it does. I mean, 16X is still, like, relatively speaking, like the king, and obviously I think the V12 or V11 from Emotion. But
V11,
yeah. I think the, unfortunately, I think the V12 kind of blew the 16X out of the water in that realm. I think it's comparable to the Nikola, but definitely a lot of people I know are like selling their 16Xs to buy that V12. But anyways, right now you guys have the Hero coming out at the same time, which is also kind of funny. But you guys are, I mean, you're not a dealer. You guys are the manufacturer. But a lot of people are asking, like, what the price point's going to be. I guess you can take and get a guess of what the dealers will sell it for. But I think you're going to come in cheaper than the competition.
Well, so the latest news I've heard is perhaps Hero is going to drop their price. I don't know.
Welcome
I don't
to
know
competition.
exactly. But I don't really understand, because from what I understand, it's a $4,200 wheel. We're talking USD, by the way, which is tremendous.
Right,
tremendous.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. For what you're getting, in my opinion, that's way too much. But for them to drop down to the suggested S20 price, which is somewhere around like 33 right now, is like, really, like, if they drop it down, really my thought as a consumer would be like, they literally just pull a number out of their ass then. They didn't calculate margins and, okay, what can we earn, relatively speaking, as a business from our consumers, and then decide on price point. They're like, let's make this wheel and charge them as much as we can while we can before the S20 comes out, because we know it's going to come out. They knew it was going to come out. Let's charge them as much as we can, and just hope that the S20 isn't going to be launched for a while,
Right. So what do we think the price point's going to be for this?
3,300, you said?
33 is like the suggested MSRP. That's, like, subject to change, but it's definitely going to be somewhere around that ballpark.
Yeah. Okay. Right on. And so someone was asking, and I put it up here so we could see it in the chat. They're asking, what happens when you reach 70 kilometers an hour? Someone said, hopefully not tilt back. Well, guys, I'm pretty sure there's a tilt back, but can you describe, if you can, what happens at the top end? Like, I'm familiar with what happens on the V12 at 65 to 70, but what does it look like for the S20?
We haven't decided on that. I'm a bit, like half-half between, like, what I want to tell the firmware people, whether to turn off tilt back. And I know a lot of people in this chat are going to be like, we want tilt back off. But there's also an amount of riders that want tilt back on and see, safety benefits for that to happen. But at 70 kilometers an hour for the wheel to tilt back, is that going to be scary? So really, like,
I mean, I've done it.
It's
on
not
the
an
V12.
easy decision.
It's not scary.
No, it's not an easy decision to make, and it really comes down to, okay, if we go the tilt back route, for example, how well is the firmware guy going to be able to program that tailback to be nice and soft and not scare anyone at 70 kilometers an hour and then have them run off on the wheel?
I think, I mean, from my, again, I'm not to bring it up too much, but from my experience with another similar sort of, safety focused company, creating the V12, what they sort of did in their firmware was sort of made it a little bit more difficult the higher up you get in the speed, and then the tilt back is also part of that. So it really sort of deters someone from accidentally just slamming into it. But more importantly, I think we all would say, I would love to see an option of like, hey,
turn it off if you want.
In the app, let's put a disclaimer that says, when you turn this off, your life is in your hands and you might die, and that's not on us; it's on you. I mean, it's funny, but like I think a lot of us are okay with that. Like we're riding these experimental things anyway, so passing it off to you guys.
But having a disclaimer doesn't do anything for someone that still wants to sue. Like people will sue.
Has anyone
if they
successfully
want to sue.
sued you from America?
I'm not a lawyer, but I don't even know if that's possible, to be honest, because Kingsong is not registered there. But
I figure you're okay behind the Great Wall.
But that's one thing. But it's like, okay, we have to worry about the people that you guys are buying these deals from, right? Like ewheels or Yuko or whatever. You know?
Yeah.
They're also a part of this thing. It's not just like deciding 70 kilometers an hour without tailback, done and dusted. It's not such an easy thing, Really have to.
I think knowing the lift speed, it does make a lot of us who understand the wheels pretty well, who've been riding for a while, feel much more confident about it. Again, we're not engineers necessarily, but we feel a little more confident knowing that the lift speed is so high, and that I think you even said to me, you think it might be able to hit, 80, 85 kilometers with you on it, but we want to protect you. I think if that's the case, then heck, man. I mean, I'm just throwing my own opinions out there, but like, I would love personally to have an option in the app or whatever to turn it off, and it's whatever. I understand you got to protect your rep though. Like, you don't want to become like everyone knows Gotway is now the fire company. Obviously, you wouldn't want Kingsong to become the death company. So
exactly.
So I get that.
Shibbles made a comment saying, "It's not Kingsong without Godel, please decelerate." That's got to be a meme. Like, I remember stepping on my first 16-inch Kingsong wheel, and I was like, "Who is this Chinese lady coming out of my wheel?"
Yeah.
That's got to be like an EUC meme,
Of course. It's been so long since I've heard that though, so I haven't. Oh, well, now I'm hearing a lot of like be careful. Be careful from
from emotion. Yeah. I remember I used to just have it on and just have it say, please decelerate, like down the road, and people just look at me in the strangest ways. I thought it was pretty hilarious, but I want to answer some questions here. Chillum said max charge 10 amps, but 2 6-amp original chargers separately. So we are thinking, obviously within that in consideration, we are thinking about the possibility of doing 12 amps. Obviously that would make more sense since the stock is 6 amps. But yeah, currently basically 6 amps, and then you'll probably have to buy a separate 4 amp charger or buy just 2 5-amp chargers, something like that.
Wait, so what are you shipping with?
6.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Hey man, that's solid on my end. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
So let's see if there's any other good questions.
I apologize. My monitor is so far. I'm looking way into the distance here, but yeah, a lot of people are thinking the price is kind of fair, despite my own personal beliefs.
Yeah.
My assumptions, I should say.
Yeah. What other questions are there? I think
a lot of people are asking about, is there going to be color options? Because not everyone loves the red, I suppose.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty sick, but I don't speak for everyone.
Right.
There aren't other color options at this point, but we are open to it. Again, launching a product, having more color options means, more production time, more QC problems, not trying to add to the list of things that Kingsong will, have to amend, right? So You know, keep
Right.
it nice and simple for the, and when it's all nice and steady, you know, come out with a limited edition color, you know, have that EVX collaboration S20, you know.
I'm ready. Um,
Yeah,
some people are
yeah,
asking
yeah.
what the base pedal height is, and are we gonna have adjustable pedals like the S18 as well?
Yeah, so if you guys look on the homepage,
I'll bring it
it
up
should
here.
say.
It's on the homepage because I'm on.
Oh, actually, it doesn't
Is
say.
it
I'll
doesn't
tell
say
you.
there?
It's
Okay.
it's adjust. There's adjustable pedals,
Okay.
and it's basically 26 millimeters of travel. So basically, like if from the stock position, you can go up 13 and you can go down 13.
Okay.
Okay.
I can't remember the stock position, the height of the pedals. Damn.
13 millimeters is pretty good.
Let me, if I can find my document here.
I would say back to the color thing for 2 seconds just to
Yeah.
bring that up. I think um, as much as it's sort of like annoying to those of us who've been in this industry for a long time, like people would prefer, if nothing else, they actually probably would prefer just an all black option. At the very
Yes.
least, if you're gonna pick one color, I know. Look, the red looks hot to a lot of us, but like some people, a
Yeah.
lot of people, I think are like, yeah, I don't really like that whole flashy stuff. But that's just my own just throw my 2 cents into the ring.
Yeah. I mean, the design is simple. So re removing, the parts necessary for you to change, that will be easy too. So
Okay.
Shout
spray
out to
paint
you.
it. You know,
Shout out
if
to
if
you, Real
you
Talk.
if it comes down to it, right? If it comes down to it, just remove it because you're gonna have to replace your inner tube sometime. And hey, that's gonna be a good time for you to, spray paint that
Yeah,
into, that nice pink that you guys all want. But yeah, the
The
stock
lime
pedal height is
green and black.
231. It's 231 millimeters.
gotcha.
231.
Okay.
I'll write that in the chat.
Real Talk was asking about something we already covered here about the IP rating. Real Talk, there's no IP rating yet, but we kind of discussed earlier. So if you go back and
Yeah.
watch it, we kind of discussed a little bit of what they're doing to keep the water ingress out. They've got a custom seal. They got their own motor.
Yeah.
It seems to be
And
a
it
better deal
at,
overall.
and it has a rim this time. Like you know how we've had this like black blob and then just like spokes coming out kind of?
Yeah.
Like there's an actual rim design on this thing. Like it looks like a
Is that showcased in your renderings here?
I don't know. See if you can find it.
Like
If,
here.
You can kind of see it in that travel
yeah.
suspension.
If you look at the spike pedals
There you
video
go.
at the
There you
start,
go.
yeah, you can see it.
right there.
It's not highlighted in the best way because 3D
Yeah.
rendering, but I don't know.
So, spinning my wheel has a quick question, Jack. Hopefully, you can answer this. He says, well, first off, thank you to me. Yeah, no problem, buddy. Question for Kingsong. From design to proof of concept, how long does it take for a wheel to be built?
Depends how great you want the wheel to be. This wheel could have been launched a lot sooner, but really I was against it. I didn't want that to happen. It puts a lot of pressure on the sales team. It puts a lot of pressure on R&D, and then we rush out a product and like the S18, and then it has a lot of issues.
Yeah, you don't want
So we
that.
waited, and we're kind of at this weird point now where apparently EUC companies are launching wheels at the end of the year. But hey, you know what that means?
Though.
You have this wheel. Yeah.
You should do it in the spring. We've all been saying this behind the scenes. So I don't know if you guys have heard it. So I'm saying now, get your product ready by the end of the year so that you can fully launch it every spring, because that's when people want to ride. They want to get it in the spring, like get it in their hands in the spring and ride spring to summer to fall. So any other time is a weird time frame. I know that like Christmas time, it makes sense or whatever, but like this year was very weird. We could all agree like that. Basically, like the V12 was just getting in people's hands, and now we're just hearing about the S20. But in the future, if it's possible with your pipeline, try to be like announce it like beginning of the year to have it in our hands by the spring. That would be like dream come true for us.
Well, actually,
I
I would prefer if it was completely up to me, because it's not. I would have it launched probably a month or two from now. But it's fine. It is what it is, and we'll have more Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
You're good.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I think his VPN's just doing a little song and dance. Give it
Yeah,
a second.
sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. So we'll have this wheel. It's expected, for first batch to be out by September. It takes another 2 months basically because COVID is bad and there's like very limited amount of ships,
Right.
to like export, and that means everyone will have it by summer. Everyone gets to enjoy it for summer. So, yeah, or before summer, just like coming out of winter, which is
Okay,
good,
wait,
I guess,
hold
in a way,
on.
too.
Maybe I missed that. Say that. So when are you looking for us to have these wheels in hand? The first batch.
It depends on who you where that dealer is prioritized, like
Right.
when that batch, like when they're prioritized in the production of the S20. But the earliest ones will go out mid-September, end of December or mid-December-ish, and then it takes time to ship.
December.
Yeah, December.
Okay.
Yeah.
You kept saying September, and I'm like, okay,
Sorry,
so
my
we're gonna
bad.
have these
I don't
soon.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you say December, so you are thinking that it is going to be for next year, so probably February-ish, somewhere around that time frame. You're thinking people will have them in their hands.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I think test wheels, and like you'll see it in your local community, because it'll get expressed by,
Right.
bigger dealers for people to test it in their community. Yeah.
So when ewheel sends it my way, we'll have a first look. So somebody brought up a question which we knew would come up. Well, two questions I want to hit on, but number one, which is a little more important. I think Jack's response to this will be interesting. I appreciate your response on this, Jack. But Real Talk asked, not sure if it's been asked yet, but are there speakers? So lay it on them thick, Jack, because I agree with you on this. But.
Oh man, we talked about this morning. So no, there aren't speakers and there are no LEDs. The reason why there are no LEDs and speakers is because it creates more cost for something that essentially just looks pretty. People are going to argue that speakers are good for safety and whatnot, but for us to create an entire mold just to house speakers and lights where you can just literally strap it on your body or have a smart helmet, FYI, if you're looking for smart helmets, look at my Electric Dreams channel. But something that can like easily be solved. So those things were deemed extra and not important. This is really a rider's wheel, Think of it like, the best analogy I can make is like, think about like race cars, NASCARs and whatnot. There's no extra seat, they don't even have headlights. There's a plastic shell on a really like high performance car, and it goes around the track. Durable, it does what it's supposed to do, and yeah, that's it. It's pure. It's like Kamikaze said, pure riding experience. That's what it's focused on. So none of that extra stuff. None of that extra stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because like a lot of people ask me, even to this day, like even in the streets of New York, they're like, "Yo, how's the speakers on this wheel or that wheel?" And I always just go, "Look what's on my backpack." And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "It's a speaker." They're like, "What's your point?" I go, "The point is, for $100 or whatever, I can buy a Bose or JBL quality speaker and put it anywhere I need to on my body, or strap it to my wheel, and I don't have to worry about like how good are the speakers, And for you guys, you're saying it's sort of like a bit of like a wasted extra effort and space and money for something that, it'll never be Bose quality. Like, you know what I mean? So you might as well just like get really, especially if you're an audiophile, just go get a really good speaker and strap it to you. Then you go. And then lights too. A lot of guys are buying these.
If we make speakers, we have to either make a shell for it, or it's perhaps a ready-made product. Strap it onto the wheel. It has to be stable. It's more parts that can fall off for a part that's very fragile to begin with.
Yeah.
So
So I think some people were asking this, but what kind of tire do you think you're gonna ship this with, or is there gonna be options, or like, yeah, what are you guys thinking?
I can pretty much confidently say there aren't going to be options. Having options means that it just puts more weight on manufacturing to like have different tires. I think people, if they want different tires, you can go and buy it. The way we've designed the S20 is to have a huge opening, so you can put literally any tire you want on it, off-road, big tire. Like,
Killer. I'm
I'm not sure exactly if we can do a 4-inch wide tire, but it's possible. It's possible, and we've done basically a 21.5 diameter wheel on it. Like that's
So
outer diameter.
so your rim is like 2.75, but the
Yeah.
opening is wide enough to allow for an expanded
Yeah,
axle.
so the inner shell, like there's nothing coming close to that tire. It's high. You have that opening high, and you have that opening wide. Um, as far as I've
Smart.
tested, we have a like 21 and a half, and jumping on it, like it hasn't obstructed anything. I don't know about having a tire bigger than that. And then the width internally is 100
Okay.
So
millimeters.
what do
Yeah,
you
20,
so what do you
21 and a
think
half.
what do you think is the tire that's actually going to ship with it though? Is it going to be
So
more of a
we've been
street
we've been
or more of
so we've
a
been
off-road?
thinking. Jason from eWheel sent us a H666, which
Hmm.
isn't talked about, by the way, as much anymore, but obviously has its place in the EUC industry.
I love that tire.
And yeah,
Yeah,
and then
it's a good
we've
tire.
considered obviously that veteran Sherman off-road tire. We've also looked at kind of that tire that XN use, I believe, which is kind of like that hybrid between a road and off-road.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we're pretty much probably going to settle on one of these three, but you know, multiple manufacturers make the same tread. We have
Sure.
to test them and ensure that it's durable. The quality is good, the price is good. When I talk about price, it affects like consumers as well, right? So whatever
Right.
we have to take on, it's reflected back. So and then obviously ride feel. That's the most important thing, right? I got to take it on a ride. How does it do at 70 kilometers an hour? If anyone's been on a veteran Sherman, they know, that off-road tire, great for high speed.
Mm-hmm.
Some people may like the sound, may not like the sound. Terrible at slow speeds, just not agile at all. Do that road tire, great
Right.
agility, great control. But once you go above like 50 or 60, it starts to get like very like too agile almost, right?
Yeah.
It's too sensitive. So
Yeah, not as stable.
yeah, and it's not like the fact that it's like, okay, we just pick out, XN seems to use this tire well. No, we pick out a tire, we test it at 70 kilometers an hour on our wheel, not make the assumption of how it does on another wheel. We test it on
Right.
our wheel and see how it performs, and then make the decision based on that. But that's essentially, yeah.
Okay, so at this point, the decision has not been made yet. Gotcha.
No, but those are basically pretty much the three options. I don't see another option happening.
I think a
But
lot more experienced riders probably would agree with me that, like, I know we're spending a lot of money here, but like, it's I like the option. You know what I mean? Like, look, whatever tire they pick, I think Jason told me the most, I guess, performed mod is a tire swap. Anyway, like even at whatever price point you're spending. So, I think you guys will pick a solid tire, and it might not be knobby enough, or it might be not street enough, or you're probably going to settle somewhere in the middle. But if you're someone like who rides a bunch of dirt single track and stuff like that, so maybe you want something a little more knobby, and then you can easily swap it.
Right.
Which is another question. I don't know if it's been asked here, but people wanted to know, like, is it gonna be easy or easier to do like a tire swap? Like, do you have any idea like what the process is like on this, because it's so kind of deconstructed?
uh, I haven't taken the wheel apart yet, but from what I've been told by people that repair this wheel or have to, put on multiple tires for me to test, it's a whole lot easier. There's no casing, there's no plastic casing, none of that extra stuff. So I think it's that removing the big battery pack,
Mm-hmm.
right, from the top frame, and then disconnecting that back piece to the suspension frame, and that's basically access to the motor already. So
Gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah, it seems like it should be kind of simple.
yeah.
So
That's a good question there.
Vincent Chung is asking, what about the durability? Are there any issues with a bare bones aluminum frame? Seems like the Sherman's crash bar design became de facto. What can people do to protect their S20s?
Yeah, Shermans are. I mean, when they put that frame on, that's crazy. I mean, I don't think anyone saw that coming, and it's kind of paved the way. So, yeah, we thought about that, and obviously that's a huge selling point for veteran Shermans. And basically, I think the idea is, okay, what's the purpose of this, and how do we do it without the extra weight? That bar is very heavy, and you don't need the bottom part of it, really. Like that, really, you just need that front part of it. So that's what we use. You saw the front bumper.
Okay, so what is that,
actually,
that front bumper made out of?
It's plastic, and then there's a stronger plastic underneath as well.
ABS, like cargo.
I don't know exactly the plastic material, but it's meant to be replaceable. So if you do crash, it's meant to be a handle, but at the same time be a bumper as well.
Right.
So it's your lift handle, and then if you crash that and it breaks, then yeah, you can replace that. Imagine it being like a car frame, right? Like it's supposed to absorb the impact and almost break upon impact, but not damage the parts behind it that are more important, like your engine. In this case, your motherboard.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the display really quick. So hopefully that answers the question for Vincent there. The display itself looks pretty like intriguing and like what kind of bare bones. So is the idea that it'll
very bare.
Just showing speed and that's it? Will there be other possibilities, or is what we're kind of seeing there? It's just again.
I don't think it'll be hard to like. I mean, a display is a display. It's not limited to do just one thing, but it'll
like,
only
how
show
are you
speed.
guys coding it to work? Is I guess the better question.
Yeah.
I think you'll be able to. I think through the power button somehow you'll be able to perhaps multiple taps. You'll be able to
Okay.
show the voltage and yeah. I mean, really, I think the only two necessary pieces of information is voltage, aka battery level, right, and then top speed, and then your speedometer, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then so we have the
Francisco.
we have the what do you call it? The power pads on the side there. It looks like they're. How does the modularity or the movement work on that? Because it seems like you can kind of pick positions. Am I correct in that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's those rails, right? Like essentially you want to slide them like on those rails up and down, but you don't have to. You don't have to. It acts as like a suggested like design is only meant to like kind of hint and guide people as to what it's supposed to do.
Right.
But it should never force a rider or a user to do it just only one way, especially something like the power pad. So you can move it all the way back if you have really weird ankles.
Can I pull that all? Like if I was like, I don't really dig that and I just want to adhere some Clark pads or something on the side, can I take those three things off? Looks like the boomerang in the front and then the two power pads. Can I take all that off?
Yep,
Awesome.
you can. Yeah, that's like, yeah, I said, like when we designed it, flat surface. Like I don't care.
Right.
Like
right.
S18 like was way too much hassle for people to come out with. Like we never saw a really good power pad for S18 besides what Russians made, but those are kind of expensive. And then now we saw these like custom power pads, right, that are foam that are finally coming out for the S18, but just hard to make it in that shape for just one product,
Right.
Speaking of that material, I mean that design. What's the material on the sides of that? The pads there. Is that a foam or is that a?
Yeah, it's a
rubber?
foam. It's foam. Is it called neoprene?
Neoprene. Oh, it's a neoprene.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Or polyurethane. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I have to check. But it'll be something as a foam, and then there's a plastic housing underneath that. Sorry, not polyurethane because
it sort of feels like a
neoprene probably.
It's like a more aggressive EUC guy thing. Remember that guy who was making stuff back in the day? I don't know if he still is, but yeah, it's like a more aggressive version of that. So some people are asking. We talked about this yesterday, but very useful to know now. What's the lifting experience like when you go to walk up some stairs?
Very it could be very like Sherman-esque.
So
in the
two-handed,
sense,
you're gonna grab front and back.
yeah, I mean, you could grab it just from the front, but I mean, I'm a shorter dude, so like, this wheel's taller because 20
Yeah.
inch, and but um, essentially you have that front red bumper part, right,
Mm-hmm.
and then that back black piece on top of the suspension.
Gotcha.
And you can lift it with both hands. I mean, yeah.
That's cool. I
Mhm.
appreciate that. I mean, I'm used to that at this point. Um,
Hmm.
let's see.
She
Real
was
Talk
asked,
says
is it fixed in place? Is the seat fixed in place? Yes, the seat is fixed in place, so you can't adjust that.
that's
You
good
can
though. I mean, like
you cannot.
integrated
Yeah,
integrated seats, cool.
yeah.
Um, Real Talk wants to know when will a ride video or a review be released.
Well,
Um,
so first video will be out on my channel, so that's lucky me. But yeah,
yeah, when do you think you'll have that out?
mid September to end of September. It just depends on how well R&D can actually deliver,
Okay,
right? So
sick. Yeah, I think a lot of people now are like excited, but like now we're like on pins and needles. We want to see the thing in action, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, it wasn't a Goat Hero, go to Dali and see Kuji for a video shoot, but that isn't the plan too. I do plan on coming out with a good production video with Kuji in Dali, and like I can ride and shoot, and Kuji rides very well. So, combine all our assets, and we'll make a very good video. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Um, so Spinning My Wheel is asking, what sets the S20 apart with the 126 volt and the smart BMS from other new wheels coming out? I think he says, why buy this
Is
wheel
that the
over others?
question?
I think
Why?
we should probably focus on the smart like that 126 we kind of covered a little bit, but the smart BMS I'd really like to dive into. Like, what does that mean? It's kind of a catch-all phrase. Can you give us a little more detail on that?
Yeah. So for the first time ever, we've dedicated a team to design a smart BMS that will allow it to monitor and for you to see battery health levels. So yeah,
That's
rather
awesome.
than your typical BMS, which is like, oh, this battery pack looks okay, you can actually see like a deep dive of like each cell,
So you
and
can see the cell groupings.
yeah, you'll be able to see which cell is healthy or not. And then obviously the smart BMS will do its job of like either telling you that one of your packs is broken and not letting you ride or not letting you charge to for safety, right? Prevent
Right,
fires.
because
Yeah.
I know on the Sherman, their smart BMS only goes so far. Like a lot of guys were having that issue where like it would just be like, oh, like something's wrong with the pack, and then it would be a problem, but it wouldn't give you a lot of detail. So I think a lot
Yeah.
of us, I've been pushing all the companies, been begging all of you guys to come out with a accessible smart BMS. So it sounds like this is what you have going on here.
Yeah.
That was like my goal for 2020 or 2021 to get one of you guys to integrate this into your wheel, because we just really want to see it. Just to, like I said, even it gives you a bit of a heads up, and it gives us even more understanding. Even dealers, like if eWheels or Alien Rides or whoever like wants to know what's going on, if that's accessible information to
Yeah.
the rider and to the dealer, it can give them a better understanding about how to help for a repair or whatever, and maybe
Exactly.
give you some fair warning before a fire. But the smart BMS, as you're saying, is supposed to
Yeah, like no one's gonna look at
prevent.
your back. Like no one's coming home and then like, oh, are my cells okay? No one does that. The smart BMS when you turn on the wheel should do that, or actually before you turn on the wheel, it should already do that anyway. That's its job
Yeah.
basically. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, and I think Zero Alligator keeps asking, so I want to answer his question. He asked, how do turn signals work? In short, very similar to S18, except you'll be able to see it a whole lot better. So S18 was kind of like a line, like it was a thin plastic piece, whereas this is more like, what do you call
Actually,
it? Like more columns and like yeah.
Does it
coming
show
out,
that
so.
here? I didn't actually see that. Is it? Does it? I don't know if there's a good image of
Yeah,
that.
if you
Mickey.
there is, if you look at the launch video, there's a part dedicated to it.
Hang on, I'm gonna pull up
Okay.
the launch video. When I was playing
Yeah,
earlier,
maybe we should just watch it
was the
again.
sound? I'll bring
Yeah.
it up. I'm gonna bring it up on the
Yeah.
actual
Watch that.
YouTube because I don't know if the sound comes through, and I want to be able to control that. So let's see. Oh, oops, that's not it. That's someone leaking your thing. Let's let's go. Let's find.
Too many, man. Too many.
What's your
Yeah.
official YouTube? Kingsong International or something?
Yeah. Yeah. Just search Kingsong S20 Eagle official launch.
All right, let's.
Yeah, Mickey. While we were on the show last night, right after you got off, one of the last comments was, "Hey, I'm watching a video now about." I was like,
Oh right, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, let me remove this. Oh, look at us. All right, let's share
Hey. Ooh,
the other
ooh.
screen.
Yo, Cobra, what are you riding now?
The Sherman and the V11.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you not have a Monster Pro?
I did. That's how I broke my shoulder.
Oh yeah. Don't
Alright.
lean
So
on that thing.
Yeah, we
Be
sent
really
it.
gentle.
No. Yeah, no, and that's what the thing is, like, being gentle on it is like great, but the circuit board just quit. Period. So
Yeah.
they're supposed to be sending a new one, with the black board and all that, whatever. But I haven't gotten it yet.
All right, I'm gonna play this down, and I'm just gonna leave the sound off, even though you have very pretty music.
Yeah, I wanted to see. I actually didn't watch the video yet, so.
Yeah. Guy running makes no sense, may I add. Like eagle flying, but like, why is there a guy running? He's about to
He's
ride
trying
it.
to
He's running to ride the EUC.
That's
There
right.
you go.
It was ghost riding, and he's catching up to it.
There's the taillights. There's the taillights.
Okay.
Adjustable pads.
There you go.
Display.
Mm-hmm.
Kickstand.
Kickstand.
Yeah. Man, we probably talked about that kickstand. Like, we have multiple meetings about the kickstand. It's really weird.
Well, I mean,
Because, again, man, like, people don't think, like, okay, kickstand is robust, right? If it drops down after you're doing a jump and it catches on a branch, it's going to pull you back. Like, is it going to break apart safely? Literally, that's what we've been talking about, man. Like, if it drops down to the ground and catches something, that part needs to break off, right? And not drag you with, the wheel that's already behind you, right? And have you fall. So,
yeah, I mean, that's a very important conversation, though. I mean, especially if you work for a tech company, those little conversations are much more pivotal than you probably would imagine from the outside.
They have to happen.
Yeah.
You can't let the first time that you're talking about that be when someone gets caught and breaks something, gets seriously hurt, and you go, we probably should have talked about that.
Yeah.
It's probably too late.
So
yeah,
somebody
exactly.
commented.
We went through so many designs on the kickstand.
Ronnie said that the guy is in your video is running to the delivery truck delivering his S20.
Exactly. just Ronnie's. Just Ronnie's.
Yeah. Listen, we all know that feeling of when that truck shows up, or I've seen the truck come down the street and gotten excited. So I feel like that little kid, ice cream.
I don't know about you guys. I just go to the factory and pick up my wheel. So
yeah. All right, Jack.
So John says it looks like the bumper would be a great place to mount a GoPro with a pipe mount. Yeah, probably. I think there's going to be a lot of areas where you can find that'll be.
The flat surface on the battery pack. The bumper, I don't know if it'll fit exactly, but it looks like roughly the same size. I think a mod should happen for that front bumper where it's just that pipe size. I don't know what the veteran Sherman pipe is. Is that? What's the diameter? But
I wanted to say it was like 32. It's been a while. I forget. I
Yeah,
feel like it was
but
like 32
same size, you know,
millimeters.
standard pipe size, and you know, someone will probably make it, and then yeah, you just screw it into the two holes, and yeah, there you go. Put whatever
Oh,
you want. Put a phone mount, right? Put your you know, bubble tea holder right there, you know, for those David Jansen in New York, right?
look, I've got to
So
do. I got to do
Boba.
a beer test. I got to hold a cup of beer now. We'll upgrade it. Ride through the streets of New York, right
yeah,
on the big potholes, and then yeah, Jansen can do his little bubble tea.
Yeah, you gotta have
exactly.
you gotta. Boba is a must.
So the headlights, a lot of people I kind of have skipped over it. They want to know what the headlights are like. It they're actually, from when I was talking to Yuko last night about this, pretty formidable headlights, to be
What does
honest.
Nico know?
Um, well, they seem to think that your lights are a good idea. Let's see, do we
Okay,
have the? It's
It
like
shows, yeah.
5 watts. I'm trying to find it on your home site here. I'm gonna bring it up.
it's 8 5 watt lights. So
Eight,
yeah,
right? So that's
so we brought a veteran Sherman light, even though that's a ready-made light, and then we compared it to that.
so you're
And we
about
were
40. You're a little bit
basically the
brighter.
goal. Yeah, the goal was basically to be like, mm, we want to be as close to the veteran Sherman as possible.
I think, according to the specs at least, it's supposedly brighter by some small margin.
I mean, it's easy to just say it's 40 watts, but then really it comes down to like
When you see
actual
it,
power delivery, and how
right?
well that lighting cup is, you know, how
Hmm.
well it reflects off that cup. So yeah.
Someone's asking, how will the torque be compared to other wheels of the same class? Well, that's an interesting question, because I guess the only other wheel of the same
What are we
class
dealing
would
with?
be
Yeah.
the would would be like the V11, the S18, I suppose, right? Because I mean, it's like suspension. Because I personally think that, like, once you put the suspension on, it changes the whole wheel dynamic. It's not everything's exactly the same at that point.
That's definitely gonna be a good video if I like compared the 126 S20 Eagle to like 16X V11, like some of the better torque wheels out there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
but
for sure, the torque on a 16-inch wheel that's a formidable wheel will be interesting, and like MSP high torque. So I guess the answer
realistically, I
is
think it'll be a little bit worse than um, 16X, because 16X is a lot of torque. But yeah, definitely not nearly as bad as the S18, because obviously the way the battery's configured. So yeah,
right. That's good. More torque is important, especially if you're going to be doing any kind
yeah.
of off-road
Yeah.
stuff. I'm excited to ride it in the streets, though, too. You know, like, I,
Oh, Yuko's here. Is it
oh,
Rose?
it's probably Nick. I
Yeah.
You know,
told Nick to
you know,
chime in last night.
funny enough, like I've heard of Yuko and I've known Yuko for a long time, but I've actually never spoken to anyone from Yuko.
Oh,
Like
really?
I know Rose, but
Rose
like I
is
know of
awesome.
her. Yeah, but
Yeah, Rose is great.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got some
I'm more
more.
interested, Mickey. I know you're interested in riding on the road, but obviously I'm more interested in riding off road and seeing how that shock really works, and whether, like I said, it's robust enough for me and the bigger guys to really put it through its paces. I want to see how well it holds up, how much we can beat on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, on that note, Real Talk is asking if this is going to conquer Marty's Overheat Hill.
Whoa.
It's a good question. It's more of like a, yeah, it is, I guess, kind of a hill. Because
Yeah.
you have a
yeah.
bigger, you got a bigger, don't you, Jack, a better situation over by you where you were burning up all the Shermans, you bad little boy.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, it's actually a terrible place. Like you saw when I rode. What was the last week I tested on it? But I kept falling, man. Like the grass is slippery. You know,
You
Yeah,
got to go
true,
it's
on.
a
true,
You got
bad
to
true.
go on.
situation.
You got to go
I'm,
on a
I'm
better day.
yeah, no, I'm trying to find a better place, and it's hard. I'm trying to basically find somewhere close to the train tracks, where if I fall, I don't obviously die. But like usually there's steep inclines there, you know.
Right.
So, and do you guys know? I actually saw an old video. I think it was of 16X, an early 16X video of Kuji testing near near the Kingsong HQ.
I
But
told you about
apparently,
that one.
yeah, exactly. And that place apparently is full of fire ants,
Ew.
or
Oh
not.
wow.
I don't know if it's fire ants, but ants that will literally make you regret going there. So
Yeah, I mean, not a fun day if you fall there.
yeah, no. So I still want to check it out. I like to see it for myself, but because that's a good place. That's definitely a good place to test torque.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's like rocky and sort of no grass at all. So that would have been a
Yeah,
great spot.
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that's exciting. If I mean, obviously it should, but if we think it's going to have more torque than the S18, I think more than anything else, that's for me what matters. This is your perfected S18, right? So if all of the little things about that make up the S18 have been perfected, and the big thing which we haven't dived into yet, but we will, is the suspension. Then that's a win. You know what I mean? Like, because this is just the new iteration of it. So with that, so the suspension, you're using a different shock this time, a bigger shock. You're using one
Yep.
that has a coil on it. Can you give us a little backstory on two things? Why that one, if there was any specific reason, and then also like what was important, how much travel were you looking for, and like all that kind of stuff.
I don't know if it came from a travel perspective, but I think it just came from more of just like, yeah, I'm not an engineer, but I think it just came from like what made sense to have the battery pack, and then like how it converts in terms of like the ratio to the amount of travel that the suspension needed, and what we wanted the pedal to travel. So that event, with all the calculations, that eventually landed us on this sized suspension. Um, and so yeah, this uses a coil, and I think people are going to ask me like whether a coil is better or worse than an air suspension. I would just say it's different. I am no suspension expert by any means,
But isn't
but
a
from
hybrid? I think it's a hybrid though.
I mean technically it's still just called a coil, but uh,
But there's still air involved,
there's
I
like
believe.
the suspension game is very complicated. Um, you could get this suspension and change the coils on it to a progressive spring, which is essentially where the gaps between the coils, the wraps, are a different size. So something bigger and then it gets shorter. So
Right.
it'll act more like an air suspension. Um, the benefit of this suspension, I would say, is the dampening is really, really good, right? So if you do a massive jump, this thing will land, come back up, and be completely still,
That's
right?
good. Can we
But
adjust that
completely
with this
still.
one? That's the biggest thing we
Yeah,
all kind of learned from last iteration was like it's good to be able to, with any kind of suspension really, but dial it into your ride style, your like everything about how you like to ride, and dial that in. So like if you're doing
Mm-hmm.
a single track, you're definitely gonna want to slightly tune it a different way than if you're just cruising through the streets of New York.
另外一个银色的。Yeah, yeah, you can adjust the suspension, but for anyone that's dedicated in the suspension field, I would just say buy a Fox. Shell out the money, get a Fox. Yeah.
There's other
'Cause, I mean,
companies too
listen,
that make good ones as well, but yeah.
yeah. But from what my designer has told me is, don't use a RockShox suspension. It doesn't match well with. It doesn't work well with a Kingsong or this wheel, an electric unicycle.
Okay.
So what is it shipping with
We're deciding on
regards to
either
this?
Key, a brand named Key, or DNM. We haven't decided.
Okay.
It pretty much depends on what can we get our hands on.
I mean, DNM's not a bad company. I mean, they're very popular.
Yeah.
Like the Surons, I think, come with DNM
Yeah.
stock. So, iCafe Sweden is asking, how will you position the motor in compare? Is it more high speed or more high torque motor? So I think you kind of touched on this before. It's sort of both, right? It's sort of
Yeah.
both high speed and high torque.
I would say
Okay.
If it's
without
leaning one direction, which way?
yeah, without talking about like the voltage, the motor would be torque, but because it's 126 volts, it manages to achieve high speed at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't know whether it's high speed or high torque. And I think it's hard to make that judgment because it's like, what do you deem high speed? Like, is 90 kilometers an hour high speed? Or like, you can do 70 kilometers an hour safely on this, 85 kilometers an hour on this if we choose to unlock it, right?
Right.
Unlock it. Unlock it.
Yeah. Um, so that's pretty fast. The free spins at 105, right?
Right.
So
Which is like, that's the same. I mean, you guys on your FAQ page kind of mentioned some comparisons with the V12, but I think it's the same lift speed as the V12. I had like 104 kilometers an hour as lift speed. So it's like same thing basically. So nice to know there's a lot of safety margin there. Some people are asking about speakers again. We kind of talked about that, guys, that there's no speakers on this.
yeah.
But if you go back and rewatch this, you'll see kind of the more in depth on that. But yeah, there are no speakers on this.
What's Law talking about? No Kenda 262. He's coming in here, you know,
Tire.
shouting out like what we shouldn't use.
That's Law for you. Have you met Law? Hello, he's Law. He's gonna shout things like that.
Okay, so that's just the veteran tire, right? The Kenda 262.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
He's saying don't use that.
Oh, you got like a webcams-chat.com hot girls and boys video chat.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, what in the world? Yeah.
Do not click on that.
Yes, whatever you do, people, don't
hot,
click that.
hot boys and girls. Can I block the user? Yay! I blocked the user. Sick.
Hey, I like
power.
I like the fact that this bot, you know, is not, you know, usually it just says hot girls. It's okay. Whichever way you swing, you know? These bots are very, you know, gender neutral nowadays.
Yeah, they're very forward.
Yeah.
Will you get a choice between buying it with the street or knobby tire? He talked about that already. It's going to come with one tire, and you can buy and put on whatever you want, but it's only got one. It's going to come with one option.
Yeah. I really don't think, I don't want the company to be under more stress to buy multiple wheels, and then, you know, it's going to create issues of like, oh, you know, Yuko ordered 20 Kenda tires and 30 street, and then they get shipped something different. You know, like if you want a tire, just spend the money, buy the tire that you want, you know. Look at the forum and see what everyone's suggestions are. I think that's the nice thing, you know, like we talked about when we developed this wheel, right? Like having the ability to leave space for the DIY community and having it custom. If we just do everything for you, then you have no personality with your wheel. Everyone has just the same thing, you know?
Right.
One wheel is a great example, even though I hate, you know, I shouldn't say it. I don't like one wheels, but they do a great job of creating community, you know, in terms of like modding accessories, right? I don't know if they intentionally came up with it, but it's there, and it definitely like brings the community together. It's constant talk about, hey, I added these flight fins, like how does it feel? Maybe I should get these kind of flight fins. It's a bunch of stuff, like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that I
People
think
want to feel connected, you know.
Yeah, we have the same type of community. It's just that we have a lot more wheels to talk about, and the pieces and parts that we attach are, you know, mostly DIYs, in additions to the wheel. But a lot of the ideas that, you know, people get, they passed along, and I really like that about our EUC community as well. I just think that we have way more options when it comes to wheels that we can use. So I'm just happy with that.
Right. So I have an interesting question for you. So it seems like you know, over the years, a lot of the companies sort of kind of kept their options diverse on what kind of wheels and things they were putting out. Like for, you know, forever, I think like Kingsong was like the same kind of thing. Like you guys are just putting out really interesting commuter wheels, like sexier commuter wheels for everybody. And then S18 kind of changed, I think, your identity as a company. Like it was very like a sexy wheel, but like now you carved out this like sort of like new niche for yourselves. And then now that your next successive wheel is of the same ilk, the S20 here, the Eagle, you're in this like sort of like off-road, like almost like but in a good way, like hyper niche realm, do you see yourself as sort of pushing sort of like out of the norm and continuing in that direction? Like, or do you think you'll
Yeah,
come back and
I
make?
think I mean, really, like, I want to go back to like just the team that goes into. I'm really fortunate to just be the face of Kingsong or doing this marketing stuff. But there's a whole team that goes behind it, and yeah. So I lost my train of thought. I don't know why I said that. I lost my train of thought. What was the
Well,
question again?
so
Yeah.
like you sort of have now pushed
Yeah. Sorry.
yourselves into
Yeah.
a
Sorry. I
new
understand. Yeah.
category. Do you think you'll
So
stay there for a
with the
while?
that's just like how well the designer thought about this product, and we saw like when we launched the S18, huge markets opened up, like new people, like actors and actresses, and people that weren't interested in buying an S18 or an electric unicycle were all of a sudden interested because of how well the wheel looked, because they were always waiting for a more comfortable wheel. Yeah.
Right.
So we definitely saw that, and then we looked at, okay, should we update our commuter lineup, or should we launch a high performance wheel? And we saw more benefits in doing a higher performance wheel because it's something that was completely untouched. 14-inch wheels, yes, a little bit outdated. Still great wheel though. Let's be honest. Still a great wheel for someone that needs a commuter wheel or something light. I used to ride the 14 just every day to work. And I'm a heavy dude. Like I like to ride that thing. That's fun. So yeah, we
sure.
felt more. Uh, it was more necessary to fill the void of the performance market for Kingsong. Yeah.
Sure.
But going forward, are you gonna? Do you feel like the company is gonna stick to this direction, or do you? I think that's what
You mean
Mickey was getting at,
suspension?
well, suspension,
Not necessarily, or just good
and
looking wheels.
the suspension, the look, the high performance, or do you think you're gonna also put out some more, commuter type wheels, like 16-inch?
Every wheel has its own market, and
Mhm.
it's not right. We're like, you already know, we're coming out with the 16-inch wheel next year, right? Sometime, and it's gonna be a great looking wheel. Products have to get better, but it's not meant to replace like a high performance wheel. It's not to say that wheel is not going to be high performance, but it focuses on a different group of people, right? The 16X rider is not an S20 rider, and it's
Well,
important. Yeah, you can be the same rider, but
yeah,
depending on what you want to achieve on that day, you're gonna pick a different wheel.
yeah,
If you
yeah,
have
true.
the funds for purchasing two wheels, which I hope everyone does. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I was sort of getting at, was like saying, you kind of just said it, was like, do you think you'll stick in this sort of like niche category? Like, considering the fact that a lot of the companies out there just make one wheel a year, which I'm fully a fan of. I think you should put all your efforts into one. And I don't think we used to get them every year, right? Like back in the day, it was like maybe every couple of years. But
No, it
Man,
definitely was
people
not
are
every year.
you guys are all spoiled. I don't know what happened.
that's what I'm saying.
Everyone
When I was
wants like
coming up,
new wheels every 2 months or something,
dude,
man.
when I was coming up, there wasn't a wheel every year. Um,
Mm-mm.
but no, so like that, I guess you kind of answered that. Like, do you think you'll stick there because you sort of carved out a new marketplace for yourselves and it's working? Like, consider the fact that like other companies keep trying to make suspension wheels but it's not their identity like it is you guys. Like for example, like In Motion made the V11, but I don't think anyone thinks of them as like the suspension company. Where I feel like you guys are like, you've
Yeah.
nailed that market, right? So my question, I think you answered, was like, are you just gonna like full force hang there for a long time? But I guess you're gonna come out with a 16 next year.
Do one thing and do one thing well.
Yeah,
So S18 did suspension and it did it really well,
I
right?
agree.
So and then we took that, implemented into the S20, and then added all the features, and still included everything and didn't lose any of its features of what's necessary of an EUC. So
The
yeah.
S18 single-handedly got Joe Schmoes to ride EUCs. So like
Yeah.
here in New York, I can only talk more about here, but there are so many people like just riding around like in Chinatown, for example, who've never heard of, you, Jack, or you, Erwin, or me, or Kuji, or whatever. And somehow they found out about this S18 thing, and they're just riding it around gearless around town with their suits on like they're in Japan or something.
Yeah, but I
and
mean,
it's like,
you should.
it got all these people into it who aren't like in the scene. You know what I mean? So it did way more than people thought it would do.
Yeah. I mean, you should probably stop those people and be like, you're riding an S18. You should subscribe to Electric Dreams on YouTube because he works there. Yeah, so something along those lines.
I've gotten about halfway there for that. I usually
Yeah,
just say, you're riding an S18, you should subscribe to EVX. I almost have you there, but maybe I'll give them a backup if they don't like it. If they're like, yeah, I don't know, white boy,
Yeah.
I don't know, then I'll give them your channel as a backup.
Yeah, here's where you tell them. Here's the complaint line. go to this channel.
Yeah, but and then the purple stuff on there, is that just the rendering color just to distinguish it, or is that actually going to be purple?
No, there is plans on very small parts of doing the wheel purple. I was kind of against it at the start, but I think it's kind of nice. It's kind of, interesting. Otherwise just kind of black and white. It's like, it's kind of quirky in a way, in a good way. Quirky in a good way.
Can you tell us more about how the front lights function as far as like being able to adjust their tilt angle and stuff? Is there like a slot?
Yeah,
system?
so there's a screw on the top essentially, and when you unscrew it, you can adjust the height, and then you screw it back into place.
Is it like tilt forward like this?
Yeah, it's this tilt, like forward, like up and down,
Yeah,
like not side to side, not side to side.
Right, so you're pointing it more towards the grounder or towards the sky.
Yeah, and I would assume that people who want to go faster would point it up more compared to people who are commuting want to point it down. Yes, we thought about like having an automatic. It stuck in my head that Marty talked about how cool would it be if you climbed the, all these hills that he climbs with adjustable headlights. But it's like, man, you have to have a separate motor, and then it has to detect. Like, man, it's just a lot of work.
Yeah,
just screw
all your
sometimes you don't need to have the most complicated solution for a simple problem. That could be something so simple, just a screw and just adjust it. Yes, it's not the most pretty, but it works.
Yeah, look, not everybody loves the colorations on this thing, but I'll say if I end up getting one of these and sitting it right between my Sherman and my V12, it will be the most colorful of the bunch, because I know some of the guys out there who own a bunch of wheels, you look and it just looks like a bunch of black plastic is all along their wall.
Oh man, the ugliest wheel that are probably on the market is probably like RSs or like old MSPs at this point. They're just like, you got those front bumper things like protecting the headlight, and then you got like this shell, on it, and then you have all these, I mean, the wheel looks nice, but it's all these mods that like people have to do to keep their wheels safe and durable that make the wheel end up looking not so good. Yeah.
Right. And then the seat we kind of haven't talked too much about. So it's integrated on there. It's some sort of rubber or something material, I'm assuming, something durable yet soft at the same time.
Yeah, we haven't made that part yet, but it's I don't know. It's a seat. I don't know what to say about it.
Well,
it's not going to be made from. It's not going to be a hard plastic. So
yeah. Well, a lot of people on the S18 wanted to sit so badly, which I found ridiculous. Because when I first had that when I was back in Florida, people were like, "Can you sit on it?" I was like, "Why would you sit on this tiny patch of plastic? Like what?" But people wanted to so badly. But I guess you guys heard.
Really, we didn't really want people. It was not designed for people to put their butt on a plastic case that's set on top of. But this is designed to, like there's metal that's, there's a nice housing that protects the motherboard, so you can put your weight on it. That's fine.
I can't help but feeling that this has a bit of like a Suron influence now that I'm staring at this image. You know what I mean? I stare at a lot of Surons, and I'm like, this is like a really interesting like homage, especially.
Oh, you mean the seat?
It's a half Suron.
Everything. Like, on the Suron, I mean, you see, that is the e-bike that you see the most exposed battery, right? Because you just have it just drop down in that, like, cage that it has. So your battery enclosure kind of feels a bit like that. And then the seat, at least from this angle that I have up here on the screen, feels a bit it's a shrunken version, but feels a bit like a Suron, a little like thing. I don't know. Just it was just giving me that vibe just now, but that's a good thing, by the way.
Yeah.
The video that they had with the hero climbing that hill with Kuji, it was very impressive watching them climb that hill. Do you think that because of the specs that you got pushed out here, do you
I thought it was okay.
Well, I mean, it looked pretty good. I'm sure it was the angles as well. Do you feel that this will be, you know, able to do those comparable hill climbs and at least comparable to the way that looked? I mean, maybe it wasn't as impressive because, like I said, maybe it was the angle. But
Yeah, I don't know how
steep
that was, but visually it didn't look that appealing. But this will climb. I will make it climb. I'll make it my mission to climb. Because otherwise, I'm gonna post it on my YouTube channel saying that it burnt out. I killed the S20.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll have a job anymore if you post that video.
Can you
May have a little trouble there, Jack. May have a little trouble.
Sorry. Is it okay now?
Yeah, no, you're good.
Okay,
you're
yeah.
good.
No, I said otherwise, if it doesn't climb, I'm gonna make a video and post on YouTube saying I killed the S20 Eagle.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
didn't
You
hear
know.
that. Mickey said you'll be out. Mickey said you'll be out of a job then if you do that.
I gotta you know, share the truth out here, you know.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, we would appreciate you doing that, but you really might be unemployed.
So we've got this trolley handle, this Msx trolley handle situation. It looks like it, but I'm imagining that your trolley is going to feel similar to the S18 handle as far as like robustness and everything. Can you tell us
I'm
more
worried about it.
that?
We don't have that trolley handle. I don't have that tested yet. Yeah, so do you guys I think it'll probably operate better if you flip it back. You know?
If I flip what?
Like,
flip
because
what
right
back?
now it's at the front, and you probably have to reverse it to push it. Like, have the
Okay, push it
suspension at the front,
backwards.
and I think you'll be able to push it better.
Yeah, just like an
Just
MSX.
based on my experience, it doesn't seem like it'll be, yeah. But
Well,
yes, we thought about many ways of like, okay, how do we make this better? Like, can we do like a Z10 like handle where it comes up and then, you know, curves up, and then is that going to be better and all that stuff?
I hated that handle, by the way.
I did
like,
too.
you know what?
Z10.
You know what? No one needs to look good pushing an EUC, so it just has to work, you know?
Yeah, of
So,
course. It's like the real test
that's
is like go to the
basically
grocery
what happened.
store. When you go to the grocery
Yeah.
store, if it doesn't make it too difficult to shop for groceries, then it works.
Yeah, and honestly, the 16X is still, you know, one of my favorite handles. Just because it was in the center, and the way it cut across, it kind of made it easy no matter which direction you were going. The handle just worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like the weirdo who never liked any of the Kingsong handles. I know that you got, like everyone else on the planet loves them, and it's like the
Yeah.
most revered handle. But since I live in a
It is.
walk-up apartment, I would go through handles on my Kingsong wheels every month and a half. I have to get a new one from ewheels, just because
Wow.
I carry mine probably more up and down stairs than most users would, especially if I think a lot more users live in the suburbs and they just like roll it out of their garage or whatever. But like I would be going up and down every day, multiple times a day, and they would always inevitably like just break on me. But I think I was a heavy user though, so I always just wanted something that had something physical, you know. So I'm glad that this has something physical I can grab, just like the Sherman does and other wheels.
Yeah, I get you. I understand now. I was wondering why you always hated it, but that does make sense because you got to use it all the time. But if it closes down, I like the Sherman also because the trolley handle itself is not what you carry it by, you
Right.
know, and that makes it a lot better because someone who's doing what you're doing and who's got to carry it up and down, up and down, up and down, you can use the stationary grips, Whereas if I'm just trolleying it, I'm using the simple trolley handle, which is located in a good spot and balanced well. So I mean, I guess you
Sorry about
kind of
that.
have to have the best of both worlds there somehow.
Right. You're all good, Jack. I got you back
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. There you go.
So somebody was asking about hollow bore here. Oh no. So Kamikaze said, still think the V11 handle was one of my faves, apart from the rubber bit falling off. Had to glue mine back on.
Wait, where was the V11 handle?
It pivots up. It's the
it's-
one that you click. I don't like it.
It's
that much.
it's a scorpion kind of handle, similar to the V12.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not
Oh
saying.
yeah.
Not saying
yeah.
I don't like
Okay.
it. I don't know. I like it. I just don't like it as
The
much.
the
as I like
V12
the
of
other one.
all external handles, the V12 has the best external like Scorpion-esque handle. It has the best handle.
That's right.
The V11 was not bad, but yeah. It saves a lot of space though. It saves a lot of space in terms of design because you just slap it on the outside. So yeah.
Aos is asking, will the wheel have self-driving so it can follow me around the grocery store, Jack?
No, man. And if you want that, you should buy the 9-bot. Is it called S Pro or something?
There's
That'll
a scooter that does that, right?
Yeah, there's
No.
not a scooter. No. There's a two-wheel like
the Segway,
the
whatever
9-bot Mini
kind of
Pro.
looking.
Yeah.
There you go.
I have one of those here actually.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
not the Mini Pro. It's a like a higher version, and it'll follow you around. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, we can all dream of your electric unicycle, like following you around. That'd be amazing. But really weird to see. Like I don't know. Sorry, I'm just picturing like people walking around the grocery store with an electric unicycle following behind them. Yeah.
And
No,
then
I'll just
gotta-
ride it.
You gotta ban the bot again.
I
There's-
did.
Yeah.
I got him.
Yeah.
It's a delay when I saw it come up and I was like, got you, nailed you. So the charging situation. So you can obviously charge up to 10 amps. Is there any caveat to that? Like the example I would give is like when I got the V12, they were like, you can charge up to 10 amps, but just be sure if you're going to charge like over 6, check the battery packs in the app and make sure they're balanced before you do it. But otherwise, they were like, you can do it.
Who said that?
That's what the people in Motion told me. They were like, charge away as fast as you want up to 10, but if you're going to be charging over 6, just double check first. I think I don't know. My guess, living with that wheel, was that they basically have balancing happening on trickle balancing as you charge, because it charges crazy slow, like even at 6 amps, it's like very slow. But then once you cross to like 8, it charges very fast. I usually charge mine at 8, so I think they're bypassing their balance on the way up. Where I think we're all used to like wheels that don't balance till the top, right? Like so, it's like you just
Right.
charge like a Gotway wheel, and then like when it sits on the charge at 100%, it's balancing. I think the V12 is balancing on the way up, so that was their sort of like caveat to me. So I don't know if you guys have done it the same way or if you know anything about that.
Yeah, I do not know anything about that at all. I don't know
Stumped you
how.
guys.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got me.
Well,
I do not
put it-
know. I don't.
Put it on your list,
Interesting,
Jack. Put it on your list, Jack. we got a list. We're gonna start a list for you. Take back.
Rob Jones wants to know, does the S20 have
No.
more range than a one wheel?
No, we should end this stream here.
Wow, guns blazing.
Yeah, you could walk further than your one wheel. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny because I went to the trail, bike trail here the other day, and I was riding the Sherman first time, took it out, and I had my nephew with me, and he's on a scooter, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to try and slow down and stay with him. And then a guy with a one wheel met up with us. He's like, hey, hey, I see you on YouTube. I'm like, hey, what's up? He said, can I ride? I'm like, hey, let's go. So he rides with
Yeah.
us. So I got a one wheel and a scooter. So I'm riding and stopping and riding
Oh
and
man, that must have been
stopping.
torture.
And
So
it was bad, but I mean, I had
so
fun. Go
I
ahead.
run this community called obviously Toronto E-Riders, and we have a lot of people that ride, and it's supposed to be inclusive, but the riders we have the least of is one wheel riders, and it's been I want them to join in, but I think they've self excluded themselves because even though we have short rides that accommodate people with less battery,
Mm.
right? Um, they still choose not to bond with other PEV riders.
I
Well,
get
So
I
it.
don't
It's
it's been the
tough.
hardest group to get. Yeah.
How can you bond
know.
with people that are so far ahead of you?
No, we have gentle riders, as well.
Oh man, this bot, they're determined.
They
Yeah.
are. It just keeps coming back. It's persistent. It's
Yeah.
on a loop. On a loop. It's automatic.
All right, got him again. Unless you guys really want a
Mm.
webcam, then I guess you could leave the stream and go. Go have at it.
Well, let me just go see what it's about. Give me a minute. No.
Yuko's asking when we can expect units to ship. We kind of said that earlier. You were saying like end of the year.
Yeah, mid September, end of September ish.
December, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, December. Gosh, why do I keep end of December, mid December?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't
Sorry,
know.
I don't know why I keep saying September. Ugh,
It's late over there. I get it. I get it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you've answered as much questions as I have so far. I'm trying to think like we
Oh,
covered.
weight capacity. People are asking about weight capacity.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like close to 90 kilos, and I can ride this thing. I think it'll probably situate between somewhere like 130, 140 kilograms.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure yet, but yeah.
Now is that so? I always like to talk about.
Hollow. I think the biggest thing when it comes to like how much weight you can put on the motor, because really it just comes down to the motor, is the axle, right? So back in the day, we had really thin axles. Now you have thicker axles, but with the hollow bore, you have really like multiple connecting points. So I think we can see an improvement on that. But I don't actually know. That's a good question that I should ask the R&D department.
If you
Yeah.
can figure this out at some point, I've been pushing for people to list this on their like dealers on their site. I think all of the weight limits that you guys are always listing is for like what the axle slash pedal hangers and pedals can hold, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that the gyro can do that. So if you're a heavier guy pushing like 300 pounds and maybe the wheel can hold a 300-pound man, maybe the gyro is not going to be obviously it won't be as efficient at keeping you upright. Whereas like someone like I weigh like 175 pounds. If I get into a sticky situation where I fall into a pothole or something, I have a much better chance of getting out of it. So I would love to see if it's even possible, like what's the rider weight limit for the gyro to be able to sort of like do its job proficiently.
You know what? I think that it's not down to the gyro. The gyro is not sensitive to weight. It's
Or
like
I guess.
when it knows like, oh, there's a load, right?
Hmm.
Can I grab enough current, right, from the batteries to maintain the balance of this wheel? I think
Oh.
what'll be yeah, I think what'll be uh better would be if we came up with different firmwares, right?
Hmm.
If you had a firmware for people that are pushing 300 pounds, right, to have something that's more torque focused, right? So I know that for Federer and Shermans, if you were, in China, you'd be able to pick out you can go to the factory and, if you have a good relationship with them, you can ask them to give you a firmware that's torque based,
Gotcha.
Yeah. But obviously most everyone has a speed based firmware. So yeah.
I mean, it seems like if they can do
Imagine
that
if you
there,
can
they
switch
should
that between
offer.
the app, Yeah.
They should start offering that kind of thing over the air. To be honest, I
Yeah.
think that's like the future. Like I think we've started to sort of hit the limit of like spec speed. Like a lot of the meme in New York is that like there's no such thing as too fast, but I still think that like there's a lot that comes into play, like when you're going faster, like a 70-mile-an-hour wheel, you'd have so much wind resistance you probably would never hit it, first of all. But anyways, these other details are much more interesting, more safety measures, more customizing measures, like you're saying. Like I would love to have over-the-air updates to have a customized ride experience depending on if I'm just a heavier guy or maybe I just want to do more torquey things like off-road or whatever. That would be really cool to see that kind of thing in the future.
Yeah.
Oh, someone's asking
cool.
if there's a cutoff switch, to, a motor kill when you lift up the wheel. Jack, is there a sensor in there?
We actually haven't talked about that yet, but I am like confident to say it'd be really weird if we made a wheel that didn't have it.
Because it's like a leg up over the Sherman. I have to turn that thing off every time I go up the stairs.
Like, for Kingsong to not make a wheel that has a cutoff switch integrated into the wheel somehow would be really weird. Really weird. But again, these are small details, I think, that are not the focus right now, right? So, yeah.
But now you have a long video record.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it can work in a very, I guess, perhaps if it would work in a very similar way to the S18, where it's basically like a magnet sensor inside the handle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know actually how it works, because, but our other wheels use a spring at the bottom, and then it senses compression, and then it toggles the switch. But the S18 has a magnet inside the lift handle piece, and when it reaches a certain part of the motherboard, it toggles the lift switch on. So yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, it does feel. When I first lifted, it does feel different the way it responds. When you lift that wheel up off the ground.
So I don't know if you mentioned it while I was gone there, but you were talking about that. Will this have over-the-air ability to update, or do you know yet?
Yeah, I mean, every Kingsong wheel has over-the-air update.
Okay, so this will be no different.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So this question is, we can easily sort of like debunk this question up there, but I actually am more curious about something related to that. But yeah, this guy JRS is asking, excuse me, JRS is asking, so are you going to have an unlock mode for faster speed? No, they're not going to give you faster than 43, but the better question I have out of that is, are you going to still force us all to ride like 1,000 kilometers or whatever it is before you allow us to hit 70 kph, or can you just give us like a button that says like, cool, I'm unlocked?
Wait, I want to go. Does Tesla have an unlocked speed limit before you can go faster? Same thing as Kingsong?
I don't think so.
Is that what he means by this question? That you have to drive your Tesla Model 3 for like 100 kilometers before you can do like, something crazy like 200 kilometers an hour? I don't know.
I don't own a Tesla.
Okay. Yes.
We can ask the King Zombie Rider in Florida.
Despite a lot of people people thinking that it's a weird thing for us to have a limit for every new motherboard, it's actually extremely helpful. Yes, you get annoyed, and I do too, about having to ride 10 kilometers on it. But imagine if you're putting on a new motherboard and this wheel is self-balancing. There's a trust period, It really, that 10 kilometers is for that, Have you connected everything correctly? Is everything, snug, right? That's what the 10 kilometers is for. You can ride 32 kilometers an hour, and 10 kilometers really doesn't take that long. So, I don't know why people are all that, resistant against it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because Cobra of all people would know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get the test period, but I had gone further than 10 kilometers. But when my motherboard on the Monster Pro cut out, but I think it's because you've ridden so many different wheels. When you get a new wheel, and then you're forced to ride a certain distance before you can actually ride it. It just feels. I mean, it makes sense. I hear what you're saying, Jack. It just feels.
Yeah.
It's like anticlimactic, I guess, when you open this box, you put it, you're like all excited, you get it together, you're ready, you gear up, and then you're like, oh wait, I can't go fast, I gotta go really slow for a while. Hold on.
I
That,
mean, yeah,
Sure.
I understand how annoying it can be, but I think it's a good safety feature. I think you test it for 10 kilometers, which doesn't take that long, and then you trust the wheel, you make sure everything's okay before you go faster. You know, you don't want to be just, okay, I got a new motherboard, put it in, and then let's go 70 now, let's go 80 now, and then find out when you reach 80 that you didn't plug your motherboard in correctly. You know?
Well, it
Yeah.
wouldn't be me. It would be you guys not plugging it in correctly.
Well, if you replace a motherboard, for example, right?
Oh,
If you replace a motherboard, for example, and then you don't know where the plugs go, or you miss something, right? It can all happen, right?
right.
You know.
Does that
Yeah.
reset it? If I replace my motherboard, does it reset that 10 kilometers I have to do?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we test all our motherboards at the factory, but it's better safe than sorry, right? So, yeah.
Right. So this is interesting. So Clifton Massey is asking, will this wheel be able to shut off the angle sensors? That's a very good question because a lot of people are going to want to take this off road, do a single track. Like when I was testing the S18 at this little mountain bike trail, there was a banked turn that I was like, oh, I just wish I could just really bank it, but I knew I would, fall on my face. Will you guys finally give us that option to turn it off when I'm like going off road and want to bank a turn crazy?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that feature is already available on basically every wheel on Kingsong.
It is? So
It
you can
is.
change you turn it off or you can change the tilt angle on the S18 so
Yeah,
that you
so
don't fall?
you can change, I think it's between 40 to 60 degrees. You can't change it to like something ridiculous, but there's a level of adjustment, and we tested like, okay, I think the max is like 40. Like anything below 40, you're messing with basically the science of how a gyroscope works. You know, then you're like, a gyroscope is supposed to work when it sits like this. Now you're trying to get it to work when it sits like vertical.
I got you. Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's like when people ask like if Mike Leahy's going to do a 360 backflip. And I'm like, for that to work, like lightning would have to strike 5 times. Like, like the logistics of that are a little insane. I don't know what Real Talk means by this, but he's asking, will cutoffs be addressed with the S20? I mean, I'm sure you can answer, Jack, but I think the answer is yeah, like with the 126 volt sort of being a bit of a safety bumper, but I'm not really sure what he means.
Will cutoff be addressed with the S20? Does he mean that the wheels will no longer cut off? I mean,
Yeah.
if you're asking if you're at, it sounds like you're asking me if a self-balancing one-wheeled device can like not have cutoff. Basically, no, it's not possible at all for a self-balancing wheel to never experience cutoff. It's not physically possible. If it was, someone would have done it already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Unless maybe Apple comes along and does something nuts, but like to the abilities of what's available on the market, if we can do it, we've already tried. It's not. Yeah.
I personally have some designs behind the scenes. If you guys are curious, Kingsong wants to come on board. They have that sort of depart from the wheel design, but I have some ideas for a self-balancing gyroscopic device that would actually solve this issue, but it wouldn't look like any EUC you've ever seen. But yeah, we should talk about that because I think it could be, if they're willing to go crazy and go out there, it could be very interesting to go down this path. But yeah, my concept is a little bit less of a wheel-based system. But
you
yeah, I
should
agree
probably
with you.
patent it before you show anyone.
Yeah, this is why it's
because you show someone and then
yeah. Well, it would also take a lot of obviously money and R&D to make sure it worked, but
no.
it's definitely very difficult to figure that out. So someone said, Shibble says he's referring to the lack of parallels in the S18 leading to cutoffs due to the lack of current being available. So that's a bit of a clarification.
Yeah, so no, basically that won't happen on the S20. 2,220 watt hours. Yeah.
Right,
It's
bigger
not,
battery,
yeah,
more to draw from.
yeah, exactly.
So,
Not gonna be S18. Again, like I said, S18 actually has a lot of torque if you go slow, but if you like try to lean and go fast and try to like get the fastest out of 50 kilometers an hour. I have videos of me cutting off. Like people are like before you guys all cut off on S18, I was already cutting off. I was cutting off before it was mainstream, you know? Like I
oh
just
wow,
obviously couldn't post. I can't post a video about it, but like I have to test the limits of these wheels before you guys test the limits of these wheels. You know? And like,
right.
was there something we could change? Like, essentially, no. Like, we played around with different firmwares, get the max torque possible, with still keeping within the safety margins, right? So,
Sure.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Sandra was asking, aren't free hanging parts in the back extremely vulnerable? I mean, we sort of saw with the S18, it kind of held up pretty well, you know, the suspension system. So it seems that, of course, there's always, with more moving parts, more vulnerability
Yeah.
at some level, but I mean, it did
And
fairly
actually,
well.
the coil suspension actually will be less of a problem. It's going to be more durable
Mm-hmm.
because we saw with the DNM air suspensions that like the gasket was coming off, even though it's not a big deal. It doesn't really affect the performance of it, but it still annoyed people, and there were amongst other issues as well. But like you really can't have any coil issues, you know.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
Right.
that'll be
Right.
better. But yeah, if you want a basically more comfortable, I would say like daily commuting experience, you probably want to upgrade the S20 to something like a air suspension. But
Right.
if you're like Mike Leahy,
Mm-hmm.
or Leahy, or I don't know,
Leahy, you're
Leahy.
right.
Leahy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you want that kind of experience, then you might really enjoy the coil. It's different,
Yeah.
right? On like normal like less shittier roads, you'll feel more of those. You'll feel more of those like bumps and stuff. But when you actually hit that big jump and you land, you'll feel that difference with the coil. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Real Talk says we love you, Jack, and someone else said you're the OG beta tester. Can we get a Kingsong factory tour video, Jack, on your YouTube channel? Is
It's
Ah,
that
not. I don't think it's
allowed?
the most. Yeah, I don't think it's the most glorifying. I think there is a factory tour video, like really old, on the channel, on the Kingsong channel. That someone else shot. But yeah, it's really
Right.
not the most glorifying thing, which is hence why I've not done it. Like there's a KS S18 production video, and then there's I think a Kingsong factory introduction video from 1 year ago. I didn't shoot that, but yeah. If you want to get a glimpse of what it may look like at Kingsong, well, what it does look like at Kingsong, then yeah,
So when do you? I
it's
think
very Chinese factory-ish. So
yeah. So
yeah,
catch it feels a lot like the Gotway factory and the probably the veteran factory. But the yeah, the last question I guess I have is, and then I think we can kind of start to wrap it up here with Cobra
hmm
if you have another one. So when do you think you guys will leak out a production demo unit photo to the internet? When do you think you'll give us that? Is it just going to be with your YouTube video? Is that going to be the first, or are you going to throw us a bone? Show us the real thing.
it really depends on how good that prototype for
Hmm.
this company will like for Kingsong will look like that very first one.
Right.
Yeah, like if it looks just like not that great, then I won't obviously take a photo of it,
Right.
But if it's something that will satisfy people, then yeah, I can take a video. I can take a photo and then share. I don't see that being a problem. So Yeah,
I think people
but
just
I
really
do.
want to see something. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because they're like, oh, this is just a rendering in our eyes.
I think again like mid September, end of this September, you'll see a actual video of the wheel.
Okay.
You know, I'll show you guys like in real time like all the features. Like it's not just a 3D rendering of the suspension in action. You'll see it actually travel. We'll have R&D team talk about exactly what it means to produce this wheel, and gives everyone an idea of what it takes to create basically one of the best suspension electric unicycles out there on the market, right? So
Okay, so but to clarify that, Jack, again, so you were saying that that's going to be December or September?
September. So
Okay.
you want a video or a photo, right, of the
Yep.
real device?
Yep.
Yeah, September.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Cobra, did you have another question to throw out there?
yeah. No, I really wanted to make sure that we had a good time frame because to kind of temper our expectations because we
Yeah.
we see something like this, the video that's out there that you guys have, and we're chomping at the bit. You know that we're like super excited, and Mickey can tell you we're both gonna get a million questions as soon as this is over,
Yeah.
and the biggest question is when. So
Yeah. If
that's
people
why
have
I keep
questions,
I keep
yeah, if
pressing
people
the
have
time
questions,
frame.
go to the Kingsong S20.com website. There's an FAQ section. And if there's a question not on there, then message me on Facebook. So, you should find a lot of the questions that people always ask me. I made this because last year I basically had to keep like repeating the same answer to the same question.
Right.
So,
I mean, this is going to
yeah,
be a longer video, but obviously, any of the three of us or any of you watching, if people have questions and they're asking you, like we covered a lot of it here, so you could refer them
Yeah.
back
yeah,
here. I doubt I'll have the time, but if I find time and I'm bored or something, maybe I'll try to go back and add chapters to this somehow. I don't
Yeah.
know. Doubtful.
yeah,
2% chance that'll happen.
yeah.
But yeah,
That's
this will
very
be a
low,
lot of
Mickey.
wealth of. What's that?
That's very low.
I know. I'm just being honest with you guys. There's like
Two,
almost no
two,
way.
a 2.75% chance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get it, Mickey. We get it.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
busy. It's
I'm
just
gonna.
hard.
I'll show you guys. I'll show you guys the S20 as soon as I can. I mean, the
Okay.
team, like when I go to work tomorrow, like probably at noon, because I'm dead ass tired. The sales team is gonna start basically be like, oh my god, all these Kingsong dealers are retailers are asking me when we can ship the wheel, and they're pestering me every day, and it's like, well, you just gotta wait. Like everyone's just gotta wait.
Yeah. Well,
It's not like we're holding back. We want to launch it, but like it
no,
takes
and
time.
we understand that, Jack. We do, and that's
And it,
really the
yeah,
reason why I'm asking for a time frame so that people are not going, asking every day. So if you tell
yeah,
us, okay, this is going to be ready for the end of the year, December, so we're actually looking to ship in February. Well, okay, now I know that I'm not, no one's going to get this wheel until
yeah,
somewhere
but
around
not
then.
everyone's like and
Yeah.
that's the problem. But yeah,
yeah. I mean, I think everybody would agree from just going through the motions. If you've been in this community for a while, that please just don't ship till you're ready.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not worth it.
Well,
Like
like I said at the start, we could have, like been like, hey, let's rush to it, like, you know, early summer, but
oh yeah. Oh, I
we
think
didn't. Get
so
that
you
motor bearing right, for God's sakes.
right. And the motor
Yeah.
itself that you guys have is, I forgot, did you say it's a custom like motor, or you buy it off the shelf for, like, is it like a C30,
No,
C38? Like,
it's a custom motor. I don't know what a C30 is. I know it's like very Gotway term, but
yeah.
yeah.
So people are kind of asking that. So maybe if there's a way to sort of delineate that on your FAQ page.
Like obviously we did not make the motor, but the rim is original. The motor bearing, hollow motor bearing is original. Like we designed that,
So what company
and how it
did you
seals
guys
up.
peg to make the motor?
I'm not like allowed to say
Oh,
who
okay.
makes the motor. Yeah.
Fair enough.
But
Got it.
yeah, uh, yeah.
The
And the
trolls on
reason
the
we went
internet will
custom was
find out.
because the reason we went custom is because the seals on I hate to say it, because like Gotways and InMotion hollow motors were not that great, you know. So
I think InMotion would agree with you.
are
Gotway might not.
they still using hollow motors on V11, or did they
Um,
go back or what?
they, I think yes, I believe, and
Yeah,
they've like
that's
they've
the
solved
design.
the
Yeah.
problem. But yeah,
We'll see. They haven't sent me one, so
well, that's
you know what they say at Kingsong? They're like, basically everything that Jack touches just breaks. Like every wheel that I ride.
you and Haisung, you're twins.
Who is Haisung?
That's
Sean.
Sean, but we just call him that.
Chung? Who's Chung?
No, Sean.
Sean.
Oh,
Sean.
Shang.
Sean.
Oh, Shang. Yeah.
Sean
Yeah, I don't
Lin.
know. No, he's not nearly as aggressive. Like, literally, I go out sometimes and I'm like, I'm not coming out to break this thing, but like, it comes back broken, you know? And it's like, God damn it.
I think
But I guess that's part of my job, you know? If I test products and they don't break, then either the product is really good, but let's be honest, Chinese QC, usually that's not the case. So,
well,
you
if you
know,
can help find before you decide to leave the industry at some point, help them figure
yeah,
out QC better. You know, do it.
yeah,
I don't know what that would take, but you're not a typical. You know what I mean? Like you're like sort of a Westerner, right? Who came into it and took the plunge, as you've said, and worked
yeah,
with these companies. So, if at all cost, you know, within Chinese hierarchy, of course, if you can help aid them to like enlighten them to sort of the whatever it takes to get them into that sort of more what we come to see as a Western level of QC, like that. Of course, that's what everybody
yeah.
always is just wanting.
I thought about it on many levels, but obviously there's like so many ways to think about it. You know, it's a lot of things like people don't understand about China is a lot of these factories are run by people that have no engineering background. You know, they're like, you know, it's like when a country moves out of communism or like strict communism, I should say, uh, there's a lot of opportunities. So all of a sudden you get people that have no business doing metal, all of a sudden doing metal, and then these guys that have no educational background, you know, starting to do these things, and then they're like, okay, well, what's the ethics, what's the morals behind this, and then
Right.
understanding the materials, and you know, like, yeah, it's a whole thing. That's basically how I can explain it in the most basic terms. Like,
Right.
yeah, yeah,
Well, I think it's a good note to leave it on. Thank you, Jack,
yeah,
for hanging out and for answering a lot of these questions. I know some of the questions we couldn't get to. There's, you know, thankfully there's over 200 of you hanging out in here. So thanks for hanging out. And I definitely think that FAQ page, it's kind of just hanging out there next to us on the
yeah,
Kingsong S20.com website will probably populate a little bit more. And then, you know,
yeah,
stay
Mm-hmm.
tuned to Jack and or Kingsong's official like Instagram and YouTube for anything that comes out in the near future. And yeah, so and obviously thank you so much to Black Cobra. If you guys don't watch his live stream on a weekly basis, go ahead and do that. We were on last night. It was a fun time.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
And yeah, thank you so much. I think this was very fun, guys. And maybe we'll do it again for a new product launch at some point.
Woohoo!
Man, I wanted to talk about other wheels too, but man, we talked about was S20, but S20 is pretty exciting, so I'll take that. I'm okay
Well,
with that, you
if you
know.
want to talk about other wheels, we can. You know, we have a platform.
I had
We
no
can do
opportunity
that.
to badmouth other wheels, man. I was like, man, we can talk shit about Hero and stuff.
Well, I mean, I think the comment section really did a good job with that. At,
But it's okay. It's okay.
the hero is now
No,
being deemed
I'm just joking.
DOA.
I just wanted to talk about other wheels because other wheels are, you know, less exciting but still exciting. You know, something worth talking about. But
Well,
yeah,
that's
so
what.
maybe next time.
Yeah, like I said, we've got.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a platform. Cobra's got a platform.
That's
So there's
right. Anytime.
plenty
Anytime.
of chances to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Have a
All
good
right.
night. I'm gonna head to bed.
All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you
All
around.
right.
Ciao. Bye bye.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
End broadcast.